Hello everyone, welcome back to the Legal Explorer. This is Advocate Ramana. In this video, I'm going to explain you about the Telangana Probation of Offenders Act 1936, also known as Act 3 of 1937. This act is extremely important for the students preparing for Assistant Public Prosecutor exam and any other officer, any other judiciary or law related exams related to the state of Telangana. This video is important. See, why is this act important? Why I'm explaining this act? Because it deals with probation. What do you mean by probation? See, what do you mean by probation? A method of giving offenders a second chance instead of sending them directly to the jail. So basically, probation focuses on reform, rehabilitation and reintegration of offenders into the society. See, before starting this act, let's understand its background, what happened in the past. See, during British India, prisoners were overcrowding and harsh punishment were common. Many people who committed minor offenses like theft, cheating or misappropriation were thrown into the jail with hardened criminals. This not only failed to reform them but also turned them into repeated offenders. So many provisions in India started experimenting with the probation laws. So basically in 1936, then Hyderabad state, later the Andhra Pradesh passed the Probation of Offenders Act 1936. After the formation of Telangana in 2014, this law was adapted to new state under the Andhra Pradesh Reorganization Act 2014 and formally updated by the Telangana Adaptation of Laws Order, which was passed in the year 2016. So today the Telangana Probation of Offenders Act 1936 is a state law still in force, giving power to the courts to release certain offenders on probation rather than punishment. So basically this was the intro of this act. If you want the detailed act, of Probation of Offenders Act, you can join our classes. So here, is this act important? Is this act matters for exam? See, questions can come in multiple choice from which section deals with the release after abdomation, or in descriptive form, explain probation of a good conduct under Telangana Probation of Offenders Act. Sometimes comparison is asked, like difference between released under section 3 and under section 4. Some practical questions. Does a person released under probation suffer disqualification from the government jobs? Answer, no. Section 2A protect him. Does a person released under probation suffer disqualifications from the government job? Answer is no. He is protected under section 2 clause A. So this act is a hot spot for examiners because it is a short and simple and very scoring. See, you need to be perfect in all minor acts. Next, see, listen, I want to conclude this video. If you want the detailed sections, you can join my classes. You can simple call on the given below number 95500105331. We'll give you the details. See, I want to conclude this video. The Telangana Probation of Offenders Act 1936 is a reformative criminal law. So basically it aims toward reform minors or first time offenders, especially youth and women, instead of sending them directly to the jail. So what key points you need to remember? See, section 3 you need to remember release after abdomation. Section 4 probation of good conduct with bond. Conduct is nothing but behavior. Next you need to remember section 7 breach of bond is equal to what? Punishment risk. Next you need to remember section 2 clause A, no disqualification benefit. Okay, this you need to remember. So next, see, listen, this act balances justice with mercy. So punishment with reform and society's safety with offenders rehabilitation. So basically this act helps the offenders. So for your APP exam, revise each section carefully and write answers in a simple language. give with an examples, or if there are any case laws, you should mention the case laws, because it makes your paper from ordinary to extraordinary. All the best, prepare well for your exams. If you have any doubts, comment in my comment section. If you want to join our classes, you can. What are the key objectives of this act? What is the main purpose of this act? Why they have focused a lot on this act? See, the first main purpose is rehabilitation, not revenge. The law believes that first time or minor offenders deserve a chance to improve instead of immediate jail. And the main purpose of the act is preventing stigma. A jail term creates a permanent stigma. By releasing on probation, the offenders avoid being branded a criminal. Next, reducing prisoners overcrowding. Courts can keep minor offenders out of prison. The next key objective of this act is protecting youth and women. See, younger offenders and women are given extra protection under this act, under section 4. So under section 4, the women and younger offenders are giving an extra protection. Next, the objective of this act is balancing mercy with safety. The court grants probation only after checking conditions like age, past record, character, and circumstances of the offense. Under what circumstances? Is there any situation demanded him to do this offense? So in short, this act is reformative measure in criminal law. So shifting focus from punishment to what? Correction. So the main focus of this act is shifting focus from punishment to correction. Punishment to correction. Remember this. See, usually in interviews they will ask you directly what are the main objectives of this act. Okay, so you can you no need to elaborate. You can remember any two main objectives, and you can say that basically the focus of this act is shifting from punishment to correction of the offenders. So you need to remember all this for the interview. Always before going to the interview, you have to prepare what are the objectives of this act. So usually they ask such kind of questions in the interview. Now I'll explain you few sections, not all the sections. If you want all the sections, you can join our classes. Okay, now we're talking about section 1. Section 1, this says this act is called as Telangana Probation of Offenders Act 1936. It applies to the whole state of Telangana. The section 1 itself came into force immediately. Means what? The other provisions can be brought into force in any area by notification from the state government in the official gazette. Next we are heading to the section 2. See, before heading to the section 2, I'll give you an exam tip. Always remember the extension, because usually in the interviews they will ask the extension is entire state of Telangana. Next, we are heading to section 2, which talks about the definitions. See, in this act, the word code means what? The Code of Criminal Procedure 1898. So it is indirectly saying that, see, the other words are not defined here. The definitions are not defined here. If you want any meaning of the definition under this act, you need to look into the CRPC. That means will have the same meaning as a CRPC. So wherever there is a doubt, look at the CRPC for the only definitions. Now CRPC is called as what? BNSS. Now we are talking about section 3. Listen carefully, section 3 is important. Release after admonition. Admonition means what? Formal warning. Formal warning. See, section 3 says that if a person is guilty of theft, dishonest, misappropriation, cheating or any offense with punishment of not more than 2 years and has no previous conviction, the court may, instead of punishment, release him with an admonition. Is nothing but what? Giving him a formal warning. Okay. So the court must consider what, if the court want to release him, court must consider what? Age, character, physical or mental condition of offenders, only tribal nature of offenders. So before releasing any offenders, the court has to check all the circumstances, whether this person fall under this or not. Then only the court will release. I will give you an example, say, so you will get an clarity. A 19 years old caught stealing a pen worth of 100 rupees. For the first time, instead of jail, the court may release after admonition. Is nothing but giving a warning, formal warning. Say, listen, you shouldn't do this. You are very young. Previously, like you are a student, you are a good character. Then the court will release. Next, we are heading to the section 4. Section 4 talks about what? Release on probation of good conduct. Good conduct is nothing but behavior of a person. Conduct is nothing but behavior. This section says what? If a person is about 21, is guilty of an offense, punishable up to 7 years. Or if a woman or a person under 21 is guilty of an offense, not punishable with death or life imprisonment, and has no prior conviction, the court may release them on probation of a good conduct. So, instead of immediate punishment, the offender signs a bond to appear for sentence if called for a period up to 3 years and to keep peace and good behavior. So under this section there is a supervision order. Means what? If the offender is below 24, the court may order the supervision by a probation officer until the offender turns 25. And this section also says that the court may add conditions such as what? Residence, no intoxicants, etc. If they fulfill these conditions, the court may release under section 4. Here I want to give you an exam tip. What is that? See, difference between section 3 and section 4, abdomation versus probation. See, in section 3, they'll just release. In section 4, bond and supervision. Someone continuously supervise them and there must be a bond. So this is the major difference between section 3 and section 4. They might ask you in the interview, section 3, can you say difference between section 3 and section 4? That is simple. In section 4, it talks about the supervision and the bond. Next we are talking about section 5. So section 5 talks about what? Procedure for lower magistrates. See, section 5 says, if a magistrate of 3rd class or 2nd class without special power wants to use probation, he cannot order it directly. He must record his opinion and send the case to a magistrate of 1st class or subdivisional magistrate. Then the higher magistrate can pass the order to release the person from probation. So they don't have direct power under section 5. Next we are heading to the section 6. Powers of appellate courts. What does section 6 says? See, even an appellate court can order release under section 3 or section 4. So under section 6, even an appellate court can order the release under section 3 or section 4. Means what? Not just the trial court, but the higher courts too can release them. This is what said in the section 6. Okay. Next we are heading to the section 7. So what does section 7 says? Consequences of breach of bond. See, we have discussed under section 4, they will release on bond and supervision. What if the offenders break the bond? What will happen? That is what explained in section 7. See, if the offenders break bond, conditions, court may issue warrant or summon. So the court may sentence him for the original offense, or the court may sentence him for the original offense, or the court the court sentence him for the original offense, or the court impose fine up to amount allowed for the original offense but not exceeding rupees 50, and still keep bond valid. If penalty is not paid, offender may be sentenced for the original offense. This is what defined under section 7. See, I want to give you an important point here. Breaking condition is equal to punishment risk. If they ask you in interview, what will happen if they break the conditions? What will happen if they break the bond? You can simply say there is a risk of punishment. Next, section 8, application of CRPC provisions. What does section 8 talks about? See, certain sections of CRPC dealing with sureties and bonds. Example, section 122, 126, 514, etc. of CRPC apply here. See, present now it is BNS. So, you just check what are the sections of section 122, 126 and 514 of BNS. So, basically they apply here. If you want the remaining sections in a detailed sections of this act, you can join my APP classes. I want to discuss present position and relevancy of this act. See, after Telangana state formation in the year 2014, this act was officially adopted through the Telangana Adoption of Law Order 2016. The law is still in force across the Telangana. There are no major recent amendments especially, but the government can issue rules anytime under section 13. Remember, this may ask you in interview, under which section the government can issue rules anytime. Under section 13 of this act. Courts in Telangana do apply probation in suitable cases, especially for youth and first time offenders. See, I want to talk something for the it is the relevance for the students. See, section 2 clause A is often asked in exams. This is very important. Section 2 clause A, it is often asked in exams. See, difference between section 3 abdomation and section 4 probation with bonds is important. Next is what rule of probation officer and consequences of breach of bond should be revised. It is very important. Okay. So these are the points you need to remember for your exams. So here, is this act important? Is this act matters for exam? See, questions can come in multiple choice from which section deals with the release after abdomation, or in descriptive form, explain probation of a good conduct under Telangana Probation of Offenders Act. Sometimes comparison is asked, like difference between released under section 3 and under section 4. Some practical questions. Does a person released under probation suffer disqualification from the government jobs? Answer, no. Section 2A protect him. Does a person released under probation suffer disqualifications from the government job? Answer is no. He is protected under section 2 clause A. So this act is a hot spot for examiners because it is a short and simple and very scoring. See, you need to be perfect in all minor acts. Next, see, listen, I want to conclude this video. If you want the detailed sections, you can join my classes. You can simply call on the given below number 95500100531. We'll give you the details. See, I want to conclude this video. The Telangana Probation of Offenders Act 1936 is a reformative criminal law. So basically it aims toward reform minors or first time offenders, especially youth and women, instead of sending them directly to the jail. So what key points you need to remember? See, section 3 you need to remember release after abdomation. Section 4 probation of good conduct with bond. Conduct is nothing but behavior. Next you need to remember section 7 breach of bond is equal to what? Punishment risk. Next you need to remember section 2 clause A, no disqualification benefit. Okay, this you need to remember. So next is listen. This act balances justice with mercy. So punishment with reform and society's safety with offenders rehabilitation. So basically this act helps the offenders. So for your APP exam, revise each section carefully and write answers in a simple language. Give with an examples, or if there are any case laws, you should mention the case laws, because it makes your paper from ordinary to extraordinary. All the best, all the best. Prepare well for your exams. If you have any doubts, comment in my comment section.